Good evening and welcome to the Standards of Geekness. I guess it's no longer just the YouTube page. Live tonight, the Standards of Geekness are on YouTube streaming, Twitch streaming, and Kick. And I'm excited. Business is booming. Brian, Daniel, Nugget, Daniel, how are you doing?
I'll let the Nugget go first. How are you, Nugget?
I am doing.
It doesn't matter how you are. Oh my God, you walked right into that. Jeez. It's the
You're
only
never
thing
gonna
we
get the
have
smile off
good
my face
left
tonight,
of the
boys.
it's the
You're never
only
gonna get the
thing we
smile.
have good left out of the rock is his catchphrases. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Daniel. Go ahead.
Well, I guess it has finally happened. Would you like to do the honors, Evan?
Oh, we're not there yet, Daniel. You gotta stop jumping ahead, you guys. I'm sharing. I'm sharing
do
stuff
you
to social
even
media.
read? You even read the format? Do you,
I know
like,
the
do you-
format.
you know how to
Evan
read it.
goes through all of this effort to put together these nice notes for us every week. He's all organized, and then you're like, "Oh, reading? Can't do that. I'm British."
I blame the British education system.
I do too.
You're not wrong.
Like, come on, Dan.
Jeez.
But yes, I am.
We need to put up the graphic. We're like 30 seconds into the show.
Yeah.
We're already at do fucking better points of the show.
Man, it's bear with me, guys. I'm sharing everything.
It's been a good week for me. I've been enjoying myself. I was out in Detroit for Pride Fest. Like always got to support all my friends and family out there in the LGBTQ plus community. So peace and love to you all. Happy Pride this month.
Yeah.
Just
Also, I think we
overall-
should kind of mention, men's mental health. That's also this month as well. I think we should also celebrate that as well. Not celebrate it, but make people more aware of it, so to speak.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. Men's mental health is absolutely important. A lot of guys push their feelings and then their issues off to the side because of work, because of family, because it's not masculine, whatever. And if you're a guy that's out there going through stuff, reach out to your friends, reach out to your other bros, and we on the podcast, we love you. Well, Daniel doesn't.
Yeah.
He's a.
I still care. I still care.
I'm finally recovered from the plague that I had this last week. I don't know what happened. I went. We got back from the Special Olympics. My nephew qualified for Special Olympics national swimming, so congratulations, Isaiah, on that. And then I just came down with a flu bug that just put me on my ass for a few days. And then my wife had it, and then my son has had it the last couple days. He's starting to recover now, so been a very sick time at home. But we're all starting to feel better. I'm excited to dig into tonight's results. I'm excited for, we got a few announcements to get going. I guess before we jump into the news, I just want to say that people power really matters. The titles for a lot of our episodes are inspired based on what we're talking about. Power, truth, money in the bank results. It's a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of real life facts. Without further ado, let's jump into the news. And what bigger news was there than our truth, Mr. Ron Killings returning live at Money in the Bank. Woo.
Woo. All right, now I know last week that we did all our predictions for Money in the Bank. I know I didn't put a point on this specifically, but Evan, if you'll remember, I said that R-Truth was going to be back. I said that when he came back, it was going to be absolute fire, that he was going to have the fan base behind him and be in a position to go after a World Heavyweight Championship. Right before we get him live here on the pod, I'm scrolling through YouTube on my phone, and what do I see but Booker T himself saying that now this man is in a position to be a world heavyweight champion. Well, and can we all just acknowledge that was just a fire promo? Like, holy
That was a
shit.
really good promo. And I mean, I definitely want to credit you for calling Ron Killings returning. That said, there's a lot more to this situation than what was initially reported. Triple H in the press conference basically was trying to play it off like it was part of the storyline, was part of the work. And at first, people thought it was a work, but not only did R-Truth's sons come out and call bullshit, Ron himself came out and said, "No, that's cap." Like, apparently he felt so betrayed by WWE that he ignored all their initial attempts to get back a hold of him. It wasn't until Nick Khan personally reached out to him to come up with a new deal. And the good thing about this is now we're gonna, that promo tells us it's not just fun and games, R-Truth anymore. R-Truth, he said, R-Truth isn't in charge anymore. Ron the Truth Killings is the one driving now, and serious Ron Killings, man. I don't know if you guys watched early TNA, but woohoo!
Oh no,
I was
it's not just Ron Killings. It's Ron Killings. He's the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and you're gonna put some respect on his name. I really think that last line, that you're gonna put some respect on my name, really set the tone in an amazing way. For me,
yeah,
I had, and I met, and Dan and I, we were all like chatting together while we were watching last night's Raw. Which, by the way, kudos to WWE for actually making us all care enough in any way to watch a full episode together. But we're all watching that, and he has that whole moment. He's the pictures right there where he's cutting off the braids, and you're gonna put some respect on my name. And there was a chill that I had that went back to Mick Foley taking off the Mankind mask, taking off the tie, and he's got the Cactus Jack gear. And all you were really missing was Triple H up at the top of the ramp, just like losing his mind.
Yeah. Well, and the thing also here is cutting dreads is it's not easy, but this is a symbolic thing from a historical standpoint too. Like, you would see this a lot in the civil rights and the Black Panther Party era protests in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. I was reading up on this the last couple of days, and it's a powerful statement. It's about reconnecting and also severing bonds is an interesting way to do such a powerful thing in front of a live audience. And that was definitely Ron's best promo he's ever given. I firmly believe the audience is 100% behind him, and I believe now he could take the belt off John Cena, and it would be believable.
Yeah, I mean, just watching that last night, I was just in complete shock because, and if you guys are quite familiar with this, the DRMs, that was a DRM moment last night. I was absolutely shocked. I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. I was confused. I was just like, what is happening? I've never seen inside of R-Truth in years and years.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dan, but I actually want to go back to something you said last night. You said to me, you go, did he just turn heel? Like, it was that level of an intensity switch. Like, you were like, did this man just go from lovable R-Truth to full heel?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the audience was just like so confused because they've never seen this side of R-Truth, and me as well. Like, from my time watching WWE from 2006, I've never seen R-Truth as this stone cold bad, essentially. Like I said, from maybe 2012, but we don't really talk about that. That's a dark time in his past, so to speak. But
2014 through 2019 is the darkest period in WWE history.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says, but I get what you're saying. I get shivers thinking about the golden eggs.
I don't know. I don't know, man. The COVID era was pretty rough. The Thunderdome era was pretty rough.
Different
Yeah.
reasons. Different reasons.
I mean,
One, the crowd
surely
wasn't
now,
attending because there was a literal global pandemic. The other, the crowd wasn't attending because a senile old man didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, surely now that you think about it, like maybe this must mean like WWE gonna be more careful of who they release and trying to figure out like who the fans would
Well,
properly back and
well,
who they won't.
yeah, that kind of goes into our next topic too. Like, so as kind of the business guy on the podcast, that's what I do for a living. Any company out there is always looking to maximize their profits and keep their costs low. It's bullshit jargon 9 times out of 10. The problem is the people element, and it's something that's really forgotten about in the business world, and especially now that a global brand organized place like TKO is in charge, not Vince.
No.
That people element's going to get kind of discarded a little more often in the drive of pursuit to drive shareholder value. And TKO, apparently, from what I've been reading from reports, they are $3 billion plus in debt.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
I mean, well, if you think about
it, makes no sense. Wait. So UFC and WWE are both under the TKO umbrella. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that there's been a little bit of buying that's been going on with like AAA and stuff, which still ended up falling underneath that umbrella. But really, what it comes down to is, this is just me looking at it. Over here, WWE just said that like WrestleMania, that was the biggest WrestleMania, most profitable WrestleMania that they ever had. We've been talking ad nauseum on this podcast about the price of tickets ever since I mean, back on the Netflix show, Rock came out, said it, at that point it was their highest grossing gate in company history. So clearly WWE is making some money. So
yeah.
And then we add in the advertising. I mean, how many advertisers do you see on that ring at this point? There's advertisements constantly.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't know 100% sure, but my gut tells me that it's mostly the UFC debt, because the UFC's primary driver is advertising and TV deals, but their advertisers aren't as universal. Wrestling used to have such a faux pas behind it in terms of like people didn't want to be associated with it. UFC still has that stigma kind of around it, where it's like it's seen as less than, even though it's a legit combat sport. And the WWE side of it is probably still profitable.
Yeah.
The UFC part of it isn't as profitable.
No.
And the problem is when you get these umbrella mergers like that, it's no longer just this company's profitable, this company is not. It's called parent company, debt to income ratio. They owe more than they're bringing in, even with the WWE profit mechanism. And it's the whole catalyst, I firmly believe, and I called this weeks ago, for the reason of switch from New Orleans to Vegas for the second year in a row. That's the sole reason they are doing it.
I agree with you. That's the reason they're doing it. But I also think that what might be more important than making all of these changes over on the WWE side, when WWE is the one bringing the money, and I'm not saying, the changes about like the advertising and stuff. Like, all right, you want to bring in more advertisers? Cool. I actually think that's a great way to bring in more profits. I think
make changes on the UFC side.
I think you can go a little overboard with it, but yeah, the changes need to be happening on the UFC side in order to make them more to make them profitable or to at least stop them from hemorrhaging money.
Yeah. And I think generally one of the problems with that is just simply because there isn't the personalities anymore. There, you don't have your Conor McGregors there anymore. You don't have your Ronda Rouseys. You don't have your Nate Diaz.
Global megastar fighters.
Yeah, and here's the thing: whether you like McGregor or not, he is someone who knew how.
He's a draw.
He knew how to draw. He knew how to get the audience to watch and tune in because he's going to do something crazy and something entertaining.
He could cut a promo. It's a crazy concept. The thing is UFC fighters, because of the legitimacy of it, those guys have a shelf life that is way shorter than any WWE wrestler is gonna. On average.
So the problem is you have to look at the payment structure. WWE these days, ever since AEW came around, the salaries all went up, the guaranteed money all went up. UFC fighters, there's not a lot of guaranteed money, so they can't really trim there. That's the issue. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, and like most.
It's kind of fucked up.
And I was going to say, like, most of these UFC fighters fight maybe, one, maybe 2 times a year, and that's it. And that's their big paycheck for, like, a year. And that all depends on, like, bonuses and how far they go, in rounds. So it's like...
Yeah,
they're trying to... Most of these fights, if you watch most UFC fights, they try to extend the fights as long as possible because the longer the fight goes on, the bigger the payout.
Well, that's not entirely true. But, it's one of those things where every contract is different when it comes to these type of things. Whether it's you get a bonus for knocking somebody out in the first round, bonus for going the distance. Weight divisions also matter a lot more too.
Of course. And I do think, especially then these... In a weird way, it sounds really funny, but I feel like UFC needs to learn a bit from WWE and try and put just a bit of storylines into their fights. Really, I mean, I'm not saying go full WWE and do backstage attacks and car crashes and whatnot, like you're having W2K14's create a story mode, but have it to where there's a reason for why these guys are fighting, not just I hate you too. We're getting paid to fight each other. Let's just go. It's... And here's the thing, I think that's why boxing recently, especially, has been getting more popular than the UFC because there is that entertainment factor. There is those storylines. Yes, okay, it's a legitimate fight, but the press conferences and also the social media interaction online is what was really helped driving those fights. And it's making the boxing fights that these fighters do build up to, it makes them very interesting to tune into because then you want to choose, I want to support this guy, I want to support this guy, I want to see him knock out him in the second or third round. So it has that more, what's the word? Appeal to it, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's not an easy subject to discuss, and I mean, there's no 100% right answer here. I personally think they would be better off minimizing the UFC's divisions, not necessarily having a ton of talents there.
Yeah.
But I would create kind of like a real sports thing. I would have your major league players. I'd have your, let's say, top 64 in the world, and then you have X amount of titles, and then you have a grinder feeder session system where it's people in the lower rungs can earn their way up. I think that would be more of a way to drive revenue for them, and it would keep them active all year round, and it would help keep people paid. That said, I'm not going to tell Dana White what to do with his money and what TKO, ultimately it's their call.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like personally, TKO should be looking at something like boxing because I feel like boxing is slowly on the rise and UFC is kind of on the way down a bit.
It's like you mentioned. Personalities They drive sales.
Yeah.
Boxing didn't have, after Tyson and Holyfield and like some of the other guys that were well known in the late 90s, early 2000s all
Yeah.
retired. Boxing didn't have a lot of those big name personalities like the Tyson Furies and like, you know,
That's a
those
big
guys.
reason
Yeah.
why
And
Floyd
then
Floyd
Mayweather.
Yeah, and then
Floyd
it took,
Money Mayweather, despite being a light, well, that's the thing. It's like it was always about the heavyweights, and Mayweather was never a heavyweight.
no.
Yeah.
And it feels weird, like especially, and it feels weird saying this now. Like KSI and Logan Paul revived boxing and gave it a fucking kick up the ass.
I mean, I don't disagree with your statement that they didn't have an impact. I'm not going to give them full credit for it because
No.
I'll say YouTubers and online personalities in their own way did revive a bit of boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even like, so I've seen Jake Paul as well. Like, his fights are always talked about on social media. You always want to tune in because you want to see him get knocked out. So when he loses, it's like it builds that story more of, oh my god, I hate this guy. I want to see him get his ass knocked out. And
Dan, are you familiar with an old? It was an MTV show back when I was a kid. It was called Celebrity Deathmatch. You familiar with this?
Look it up on YouTube, bud.
You'll get a kick out of it. Yeah. Really, what you're gonna and by the time you're done, you watch a couple episodes of Celebrity Deathmatch, you're gonna realize that if they brought Celebrity Deathmatch back now, it would just be like online personalities, TikTokers, YouTubers, whatever.
Yeah.
Killing each other with the various things. Go check it out if you've never seen it. Celebrity Deathmatch on YouTube, awesome.
Yeah.
Stone Cold's in there.
Way past my time. I mean, is MTV still around? I mean, is it still a channel?
It's still a channel, I think.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Last I knew. I mean, he's not wrong. They bastardized it into like 6 different channels and then killed half those channels. Then it turned into
but they did that when we were
weird.
Like I knew MT had like tattoos and stuff, like a tattoo like show and whatnot. But that's all I remember.
Hey there, Henry Blanco. Glad you could join us. For those of you, we just want to thank you guys for your support. And as always, we're part of an affiliate program for Dueling Guard. Make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG at checkout, so you can get 5% off all your orders. You can get some, fancy stuff. That'll be up for later in the show. So GOAT results.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
I mean,
AJ.
I think
surely
the AJ Styles Bruiser Brody one was definitely
Yeah. I was surprised about that. I was like, really? AJ over Brody?
Brody has kind of a cult following.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll admit, I voted for Bruiser Brody, and that's just because, like, when it came down to it, I just saw one moment in a match between the two of them, and it's AJ jumping to go do his flying forearm, and Brody just levels him.
Yeah,
that's like you would kill that man.
But then how would AJ Styles? I'm trying to think, like, in this hypothetical scenario, how the hell would AJ beat Brody? How would he keep him down for the 3?
Well, in this situation, I mean, you could book this a few different ways. I mean, Monster Heel Brody versus AJ Styles, you could get a good 3-month feud out of that. I would build AJ up as a plucky babyface. That first match, I would have Bruiser decimate him. I would have him take the chains and the fork and bust him open and choke him to end it in a non-contest. And then at the follow-up one, I would have a steel cage match where AJ barely escapes with his life. And then Bruiser Brody decapitates him in that final one in terms of like just that monstrous clothesline. But as he goes to pick AJ up, to hit the finisher. Gets rolled up for the 1, 2, 3. That's it.
I thought you were going to have something like Bullet Club comes out and does their usual Bullet Club stuff.
I mean, you could have fucking Kamala or like Abdallah the Butcher come down and like you
Oh,
can spice
God.
it up.
No, I mean,
Like-
that'll just
There
be
we
like.
go. There we go.
be,
Junkyard Dog comes on out. He's pissed off. He's not in the match.
Some big meaty men slapping meat and poking each other with bloody forks.
Honestly, I've watched 2 Abdullah the Butcher matches this week. They are fucking disgusting. I'm sorry for my language, but that is gross. Like,
We can say fuck on the podcast, Dan.
Yeah,
Ah,
you can't.
big
You
boy.
can't. You know
I don't-
that kind
they
of
might use-
wrestling still. That kind of wrestling still happening like on a monthly basis in Detroit.
well, you never know. There could be like a 7-year-old called Timmy who's watching this. Hi, Timmy. Hi, Timmy. If you're watching, he's probably.
But
gonna
yeah, AJ Styles defeated Bruiser Brody with the polls on our Facebook page. Gorilla Monsoon, this one kind of surprised me. I voted for Gorilla. Gorilla Monsoon defeated Tully Blanchard. I don't think this is that hard of a match to book.
This was a harder one for me to pick, to be honest.
It was. It was a coin flip decision. I didn't actually flip a coin, but in like my mind, I was like, "What does this just come down to?" And I just think that Tully's just isn't able to overcome the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, I spun a wheel to decide my pick between those two. So,
Dan, you're not. God damn it, Dan.
Dan, you don't admit that. You don't admit that you're the mark. You don't admit it like outright. You use the wheel, the knowledge that the wheel gives you to hide the fact that you are indeed a mark. I went with Gorilla Monsoon on this actually because when it came down to it, based off of their wrestling careers side by side, I was like, I thought they were both fairly even in terms of their wrestling careers. And so I'm like, all right, well, which one of them has like that little X Factor edge? And I tried to give one to both of them. On the Tully Blanchard side, I was like, he was a horseman. And just the name of being a horseman, that is saying something. On the other side, Gorilla Monsoon was the voice of the WWF until Jim Ross inherited that title. And dude, that's a whole nother legacy on top of your original legacy.
Yeah, he was more known as an announcer and a play-by-play guy than he was as a wrestler in the later stages. Like he became a star through that in the 80s and whatnot. Him and Heenan and just their dynamics. I mean, that's the voice of my early childhood.
Him and Jesse were some of my favorite. That's not to take anything away from Bobby Heenan. You know I love Bobby Heenan, but I love listening to him and Jesse.
Stone Cold defeated Christian. This was a clean sweep. I didn't see a single vote for Christian. This was the easiest one I've had to vote on so far.
I think we all know how this would go. We all know if this match happened. We all know how it ends.
What?
With a really great promo before the match. Look, hold on though. Look, I voted for Stone Cold, but I think we can all agree. I would love to see a patriarchy Christian promo cut on Austin 316. Like,
you drink your beers while your father's dead.
You
What? You dirty son of a bitch. Yeah, it'd be great. And especially if you take Stone Cold now, where he's hanging out with his cats on his ranch and cutting promos with them on TikTok.
By the way,
maybe just by the time the promos are done, Christian's winning the match.
Maybe that helps sells it. But Christian could cut the promo on Poncho, telling him that after he's through with him, his father is going to be dead.
How dare you?
And then, so this one was the hardest one for me so far. Bray Wyatt defeated Harley Race.
Yeah,
I voted for Bray. Full transparency, I voted for Bray. I love Harley Race. I love all the old school things. that he did, former multi-time NWA champion, managers. His career spanned decades, trained so many legends. But when I think in terms of the in-ring, the charisma, the full package, when you're putting that weight on the scale, Bray Wyatt had it all. He just wasn't given the benefit of the doubt of the system behind him until it was towards, unfortunately, the end of his life. And Bray Wyatt's gonna move on to the next round, and it's this was hard.
No, you're 100% right. Look, I think they're like when we're talking about big names on this list, or in the overall, the Undertaker is going to be one of them. Okay, Undertaker is one of the most legendary names in professional wrestling. Bray Wyatt was the guy who was ready, capable, able to take the legacy of that.
He should have been the one to dethrone Taker, in my opinion.
And even Taker said it. Even Taker said it. Because
Taker
what was
said it Roman.
Did they ever explain why Bray lost that 31? Was that all down to Taker's decision, or was that like a Vince decision?
Vince. Once Taker lost to Lesnar, it was.
He didn't have any reason to protect it, and he had wanted to lose and end the streak before that. He tried to give that honor to Randy. He tried to give that honor to Edge.
CM Punk.
Yeah, I've heard he tried to give that to CM Punk, and Punk didn't want
Did he
it.
try to give it to Triple H in that WrestleMania 28 or 27 match?
No, I don't think he tried to give it to H.
Because I know it was meant to be like a end of an era match, wasn't it?
It's just because Triple H and all them were retiring, and Taker was the only one still around.
He didn't have if you're gonna beat him, do something with it. At least Lesnar did do something with it, I guess.
Yeah, he just didn't need it.
But he didn't need it.
He was Brock fucking Lesnar. He was a global icon. He didn't need the rub of beating the streak.
Honestly, I'm one of the people who feels like he should have beaten the streak, because I feel like he was on such a a jerky situation where he came back, he lost, and then he was dealing with Triple H in that lot for a bit. And
I mean, that's reading it. Statistics Steve, I remember watching a thing that Edge regrets not taking it, even though he didn't need it. It should have been Roman than it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're 100% right. I don't think I saw the thing with Edge, but
especially that.
It's just. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd like to do an episode on missed opportunities. What are the biggest missed opportunities in wrestling history?
We could do a week on missed opportunities, man. But yeah, we can do an episode.
Let's make it a series. Let's make it a series. We'll do a first episode, and then we'll let the audience tell us, hey, what do you think is a missed opportunity, and we can discuss it. I think that's a great idea for next week. Next 4 up. You guys ready?
Yep. All right, here we go.
Tommy Dreamer versus Jake the Snake Roberts.
Ooh.
Oh, you think that's a new? Wait for this next one.
Which Jake Roberts is this? Is it drunk Jake Roberts or Jake Roberts in his prime?
We said all of these are in their prime.
Okay. Yeah, and Dan, Jake was struggling with addiction at that point.
Dan, Evan, do you have a graphic you can put up for me here? Dan, that was terrible, and you need to do fucking better.
Of course. We can't go there.
You were the worst nugget in the 20-piece.
Hey, nuggets are not that bad. Nuggets for the win. No tenders. No strippers.
Chicken strips, baby. No, chicken strips. Chicken strips. All day. Tendies, baby. Tendies. We've already had this fight, and you lost.
Well,
you guys ready for the next one?
Yep.
That's right, Eric. Another negative gold star. You're down. You're down 2 stars.
Down 2 stars. How's you know what? Everybody in this chat that is not named Daniel Roberts gets a gold star, including Brian and me.
I'm basically the Dave Meltzer's favorite least child.
I can believe that. Anyways, next match. You put hard times on me, Daddy. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream
Oh, no.
versus
I've been
the
waiting for this one.
American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Yes,
Honestly,
I love. For everyone to know, these are put into a random generator and all
I had
put
Chat
together.
GPT literally randomize these.
I love that these two got paired up against each other. I think it's really interesting because if we would have had this conversation 10 years ago, this would have been a slam. Yeah, it would have been a slam dunk. Having this conversation today is a totally different story because Cody,
he finished.
He's not the. Yeah, he finished the story. He's not the current champion, but there is a very strong argument to be made that he is still the face of the company.
He's one of the biggest stars in the company. It's him and Roman and Cena, and that's about, at that top level could carry the company. Punk and Rollins are right behind him.
When we watched Raw last night, you had all those commercials with all the different WWE superstars, like in all of them. Who were the people who were constantly front and center? It was Cody Rhodes and Bianca Belair. Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair. Cody Rhodes.
They are the faces of their divisions. Absolutely. And I think Cody finishing the story, main eventing, winning the title his father never got to hold, that puts him on par, at least with Dusty, if not further ahead. Like, I'm still not sure who I'm voting for. I got to look at the full length of everything. I think I have an idea of where I'm at, but I just want to confirm some things. That said, these next two are spicy as well. The Animal, Batista, versus Kenny Omega.
Batista.
Give me what I want.
And no, Evan, I am not using the Rock situation.
I think this is going to be closer than we realize.
No, it's not even close.
I think people. Batista's a megastar. Everybody knows that. Main event at Mania.
He's not up against Daniel Bryan this time. This isn't him, and we're not talking about Dave Batista coming back against the Yes Movement.
Hey, DQ, what's up? Yeah, it's 16 Batista's entrance.
We're talking like legitimately. If you go back, this was your time, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that moment where Cena had the spinner belt, Batista had the big gold, and they were staring face to face, and you were just like, "Oh, let them fight! Oh, let them fight!"
It was like Godzilla King Kong.
The only highlights of that era.
And we did get them to fight until Batista broke his neck, and yeah, we had lackluster match between the two, which is.
Yeah. The match wasn't so great, but the build, the anticipation.
The build, yeah.
It was actually. I'm going to go back. You talk about missed opportunities. I'm going to give you a highlight missed opportunity right here. The Royal Rumble, when those two went over at the same time and both landed at the same time, was a huge missed opportunity. Vince should have let that shit ride. We should have gone into Raw the next night not knowing who won the Royal Rumble. That would have been epic. Huge missed opportunity. And by the way, there's actually precedence with both Bret Hart and Lex Luger winning or eliminating each other at the same time at the end of the Royal Rumble. They were both given title opportunities at WrestleMania. There's precedence for this. There's a ton of things we could have done with it. Drives me nuts to this day.
Yeah, that was actually one of the ones I was thinking. I think that's something that's missing in wrestling these days is suspense. Now I know as marks and smarks in the audience, we kind of have a hard time suspending disbelief sometimes. But I remember Monday Night Wars. I'm talking to the audience in general. We got so used to there would be that cliffhanger at the end of Raw sometimes, or at the end of Nitro, where you didn't know what was going to happen, so they would get you to come tune back in next week, or they'd do it at the end of a pay-per-view. There'd be a cliffhanger, and that isn't done anymore, and I don't really know why. I think it's just kind of forgotten TV formatting, maybe. But yeah, honestly, like I think this one's gonna be closer than you guys think, because you gotta remember,
The reason I
Batista's a
don't think it's going to be
monster.
that close is because we are basically living up to Kenny Omega's reputation given to him by Dave Meltzer. Because remember,
Shut
like
up.
he's
Whoa,
one of the
whoa,
No, no, no,
whoa,
no, 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 no,
whoa,
no, no,
no,
no, no, no,
no,
no, no, no. First you interrupt me, make a shitty point. I'm gonna give you this. You've earned this one. Do fucking better. I'm gonna use my own catchphrase on you, you jabroni Mark.
Let's see how many more we can get. That's the third one.
I'm gonna fucking find a way to get a counter on this thing. Jesus.
We actually
fuck.
might need a counter.
I
So,
feel
anyways,
less bad about what's coming.
yeah, I do too. Um, the reason I think this is going to be closer is you got to remember Kenny is a product of the digital age. His matches in Japan, like you can sit there and give the Meltzer shit, credence however you want. The fact of the matter is, he main evented multiple times against Kazuchika Okada at the Tokyo Dome. Something Dave's never done. He did it in a much harder way. He wasn't, a big guy handed the opportunity and trained and brought right up. Kenny wasn't the mold of the superstar. He became the best out machine through his own sheer force of will. And they're both extremely popular. I think this one's going to be a one or two vote, one way or the other.
On the Kenny Omega side, I think, Dan, what you might be lacking to give Kenny credit for here is the fact that there's an argument to be made. Without Kenny Omega, there is no AEW. Like,
Exactly.
an entire company was built off the back of four guys: the Young Bucks, Cody, and Kenny. You can try and throw some other names in there, but the truth is that was the core. Those were the guys.
Yeah.
I guess maybe Marty Skrull a little bit because he was a member of the Elite at that time.
And this is
I don't like to give Marty Skrull credit for anything.
I'm going to apologize.
You know what? As a matter of fact,
now,
hold on. I just gave Marty Skrull credit for something, Evan. I deserve one now. I can do fucking better.
You can do fucking better. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Marty, you can Google it. You can Google the whole Me Too movement in wrestling. I'm not going to get into that and the whole Joey Ryan thing. It really disgusts me at one point that I was a fan of either of theirs. I'm going to leave it at that.
and we were not
We can
all
all
talking about
do
Velveteen
fucking
Dream
better.
and his crazy antics after Money in the Bank.
Uh, we won't go into alleged Chomo stuff.
Why do you want to
Anyways,
mention
moving
his name?
along, Daniel. The final match. That mean bus riding machine, Hulk Hogan, versus Bang Bang Mick Foley.
Everyone
See, this is
vote
the
for
one.
Mick Foley, please. Thank you.
This is the one I'm afraid is going to be closer than I want it to be. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
who I'm voting for.
Same.
It's an easy choice for me, but
Problem
yeah.
is removing the bullshit like we've talked about. I'm still a toss-up, and I hate this because this is a fuck Hulk Hogan household here, and I'm still a toss-up.
I mean,
Like,
to be
See,
fair,
for
after
me-
what he did to TNA, I will never respect Hogan ever again. He destroyed 3 years of
this
a
isn't.
company.
This isn't. Wait. Hold on, though. This isn't about respecting Hulk Hogan. If you look, this goes back to like some other conversations that we've had when we've gone and we've been discussing this guy versus this guy. You have to put it into a context of the tournament and of the competition, of the careers, and not the personal actions that these people had. Remember, you wanted Chris Benoit in this tournament, you got it, and and so like looking at their careers, all right. On the Hulk Hogan side, he was a man who held the WWF on his back. A lot would say by his own choice through the 80s, and then in the 90s was a big part of the wrestling revolution by being a part of the NWO. I don't think anybody can take credit away from the impact of the Hulk Hogan heel turn in joining Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. On the other side of that, I think a lot of credit, a lot of the points for Mick Foley, for Miss Foley's baby boy, actually are going to come down to his time in WCW and his time in ECW. Yeah, he has one of the most epic matches of all time with the Hell in a Cell match against the Undertaker. Like that's if I'm gonna introduce someone to professional wrestling who's never seen wrestling, and I get to show them one match, that's my go-to match. But the character development that he had in WCW with the Cactus Jack moniker, Dan, look it up. If you look at the stuff that he did in ECW, I mean, personally, I loved the whole idea that ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, here comes the guy who's known for taking these extreme bumps and doing these crazy stunts, and he looks right down the barrel of the camera and goes, I'm not doing that for you fans. You don't deserve that. I am a class act. I'm a technical savant. Like, he knew just the buttons to push, and he did it in 3 different characters. So everybody vote for who they vote.
I mean, to be fair, the greatest match of all time was Melina versus Alicia Fox. So.
Oh, it's so much nicer in here. I have room to stretch. Oh,
You can get me in timeout for a minute, Daniel. That was the single stupidest thing I've ever heard you utter.
Why did
we are
Alicia
all
Fox
significantly
get brought
dumber
up
having
on-
listened to you.
Look, this is the standards of greatness, and there was no standard of greatness with Alicia Fox. Okay, that just shame.
Eric, I'm gonna give you a job. I need a Nugget owned counter.
It was a good match. It was a very entertaining match. It was for the Divas title.
Daniel, you're still speaking? I need you to shut up.
I mean, that's what Cameron said.
You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to call them. I'm not even going to say it's a do fucking better counter. It's a Nugget counter, okay? And I swear to God,
Nugget
if you get to a 20 piece, I am going to just smack the ever living crap out of you. Oh, but you're at a 4-piece so far. You're at a strong 4-piece right now. Let's see if you can keep it to a Happy Meal, okay?
I'm gonna need somebody to clip him making that hand movement. I have an idea.
I know I can already see the idea.
Well, how many do you want to give him, Steve? Because Dan's supposed to come to the States at some point, so he's gonna get a flare shop.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, there will be video. Yeah, you wanted me to take you to a show, Daniel. I'm gonna take you to a show.
How about 20 chops?
No, he's gonna have the locker room run through you in a different way.
That sounds a bit.
Anyways,
someone's gonna pat your Patterson.
Well, ooh, turning him into a regular old ring boy, huh?
One of the
Anyways,
ring boy.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I'm glad.
Allegedly. You have to say allegedly.
Allegedly.
Like,
So WWE SmackDown this past Friday. Honestly, not really a whole lot in this show was that great to me. I did like having Seth's team and Solo's team kind of confronting each other.
that was
And
fun.
then
That was
that
fun.
was
It was
good.
the right amount of cross between the shows.
Yes.
Like, you clearly had these two forces, and you're kind of saying as you're watching it, like, well, what happens when Bloodline comes to shove with group that is still unnamed, as far as I know.
I'm just gonna call them yet to
As a
be
matter of
named.
fact-
That's gonna be the new faction name is YTN, yet to be named.
Do you know? Here's the thing, though.
TBD.
I'm
Young
kind
Nugget.
of glad they addressed the Bronson Weed, relationship with Solo Zakar. I'm glad they kind of, sorted
Yeah,
that.
I like little nods like that.
Mhm.
So and then the other thing that I liked was the 6-woman tag. I thought that was great. It gave me Rhea Ripley and Stephanie McCarron. Any match, any day of the week. Hashtag Gooner. No, in all seriousness, it was a great
Yeah.
match. Uh, I really liked the use of Julia throughout this show too.
Yeah,
The fact that they had her in a backstage segment, she interfered in another match, and then also was in a match. That was great. Like that was just good old fashioned like sewing the threads throughout the show.
here's
It
a,
was
here's a weird, here's a huge take, but I think Stephanie Verkert and Julia could be the next lead to Trish Stratus. Not on the same level, but relationship wise, I think it's going to be.
Daniel, didn't you just like 2 weeks ago call Lita and Trish overrated and make Brian almost want to rip his hair out?
Yeah, but here's the thing: Verkert and Julia are better versions of them.
I mean, I don't disagree in terms of in-ring talent because I've seen, what Julia and Stephanie have done. They aren't the megastars that Trish and Lita are. I will
No,
argue that Stephanie is getting closer. She's getting the best reactions out of any talent, male or female, anytime she goes into the arena or music hits. We all know why. Booker T, he said it best. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh my god, and that double, oh my god, it was beautiful. Lola and Stephanie
Yeah,
Verkert.
the AAA show was actually really good too. And then the only other thing I really liked about the show was
wait. You can't just breeze over the AAA show without bringing up WWE's newest, biggest superstar.
we're getting to that. We're still on SmackDown. Daniel just reminded me of something. No, trust me, I'm
No,
getting there, and I have something to
I'm getting a
say
picture.
about
I'm getting a picture. Hold on.
reptile dust.
I still don't know what you guys are talking about, even till this day. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyways, what else is new? You're generally confused and slightly sticky. That's your whole facade.
I'm gonna end up like fucking Kevin Nash. Just
Except
the
for tearing your quads, you're gonna tear a wrist muscle from cranking it too many times.
That sounds about right.
You're gonna
I can see that happening.
hyperextend your give yourself tendonitis, you motherfucker. Anyways, back to the show. Damian Priest and Fatu, their backstage segment, I thought was really good. I didn't care for the end of the show with the two back-to-back segments where it was literally just them talking. It was Cena, Logan, Jay, and Cody. It telegraphed the result, in my opinion, a little too hard.
yeah.
Um,
I mean
and then
that botch from Logan Paul that was absolutely fucking hilarious.
yeah, but like, and then I didn't really care for the whole Aleister Black versus LA Knight match. I felt like Aleister being there was just kind of like
Yeah.
throwing somebody a bone.
Here's the thing: can we just talk about Aleister Black for a second? The fact he's came back and he's not really done anything. He feels like he's just gone from
there's
AEW
Rusev,
mid
like,
card to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to give them time to rebuild him and reestablish him with their audience.
Yeah.
I just having him eat that spear from Breaker after Seth interfered was just like, okay, so you went from jobbing in the mid card in AEW to jobbing in the mid card in
That's
WWE.
what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
it
I
just
guess
feels.
I guess you're with your wife, so props to you. You're happy.
Honestly, I think he needs to go back to the Dark Father gimmick. I think it needs to happen.
I mean, he's got to get back over with the WWE audience. That's the problem. You're reestablishing the character. The problem is they've had him here and there. I will say the AAA show, single most over guy in
Who the
WWE
fuck is
right now.
that?
That's
Who
Mr.
the hell
Iguana.
is that?
Mr. Iguana!
Oh my god,
Dude, I
add
love
3 to
Mr.
the
Iguana.
count. Holy fuck.
How do you not know about Mr. Iguana? This guy and his pet iguana.
God damn it,
this
Napa.
this right here. What I loved about this is this was indie wrestling and everything that's great about indie wrestling being brought into mainstream and everybody being like, wait a minute, this is the kind of stuff that like you actually get in other promotions and it's
And
great.
he got
It's
over huge. He's one of
This
the
might
top
sound like a dumb
sellers.
question. Is he somehow like connected to like Luchasaurus at all?
no,
No, what the fuck? This is AAA.
no. He has a pet iguana.
It's a
It's
iguana
an
puppet.
iguana, man.
It's not real. There's a stuff. It's a stuffed iguana.
That's the point.
That's
It is a comedy gimmick, and it's also taken very seriously. This is akin to like the 1980s gimmicks and 90s gimmicks that actually got over because they were very niche. This is indie wrestling on a global audience, and I literally I can't. How can you call yourself a wrestling fan and have watched this weekend and not known who he was? Literally everywhere. He's been on NXT, both NXT shows. He's on there tonight with Shawn Michaels. Like they had him in Money in the Bank.
Do you know who Danhausen is?
I know who Danhausen is.
Same thing.
Okay.
Similar thing.
It's the same kind of thing as Danhausen. It's a comedy gimmick that's being taken very seriously, and the fact that it is taken seriously by the guy doing it is what gets it over.
I mean, does he perform? Does he perform like a lizard or
Danhausen,
an iguana or something like that?
I've said so many
Danhausen's not a
times.
7-foot tall, 400-pound man. That's the point.
I've said so many times in professional wrestling, it is so important to buy into your gimmick. Like really go in on your gimmick, and if you have something that borders on the ridiculous, lean into that. That's what's going to get you over a lot of times. Like Mr. Iguana is over because he was willing to lean into the ridiculous. I applaud this guy, and I am really glad that WWE is recognizing the value here.
They're literally looking into mass producing iguana puppets to sell on WWE Shop. That's how popular he had. The outside of Stephanie McCarron in Rhea on the ladder this weekend, he had the biggest reactions and the most views. In that moment at the AAA show, he got more over than half the WWE audience currently is. That tells you he's a potential needle mover. He won't main event WrestleMania. But this guy has clearly got enough of an it factor and leaning into that gimmick that it's got potential.
I will say this guy's going to feel very similar to like Al Snow's head.
No, man,
Similar vein.
This is the kind of guy who honestly could drive a WWE cruiserweight division into a legitimate watchable. Like I tune in every week because I want to see stars like Mr. Iguana, take on Dominic Mysterio.
The way that you're going to talk about him, he sounds very much like a James Ellsworth. I don't know why. I get that feeling.
Do you remember the whole generic gimmick in HKW that Eric did? Similar vein. Similar vein.
Yeah. It was really about leaning into it. Like I remembered the conversation we had with Eric when we went to him and we're like, all right, listen, rather than trying to like buff up everything, make it louder and bigger like we all do with promos, we want you to take it down a notch. We want you to monotone, Ben Stein the shit out of it. And
that was literally what I said, was Ben Stein the shit out of that motherfucker.
And I remember him being like, this sounds stupid. This doesn't sound like it's going to work. And we said, lean into it, trust us. A week later, he's like, yo, this is over.
He had the second highest views on all of his promos. Like, he was over.
He was the highlight of the show. Every week, I would look forward to the generic.
People would ask us, is he going to be on the show this week? That's when you know someone's over.
Yep.
So what you guys are saying is wrestling fans like dumb gimmicks.
No, the problem is you're being reductive and calling it dumb. And in fact, you should do fucking better.
Yeah, you're not understanding the subtleties of this. This is wrestling. Wrestling has always been larger than life characters, like a comic book come to life. You watch the MCU, and I know that you don't go, hey, it's really stupid that there's this guy in red and blue spandex swinging around because he was bitten by a spider. Stupid. But you're kind of putting that same spin on this.
The problem is
the truth is these characters that are larger than life. That's a gold star for Eric. That
5 gold stars.
That's 5 gold stars for Eric.
Please don't tell me that's another minus star for me. You please don't tell me.
No.
You say something stupid again, you're getting minus stars. And honestly,
but you're on border here with this. Wrestling characters.
Go ahead.
Wrestling characters are the lifeblood of professional wrestling, and every era has had those big characters who, if you break them down into their most base idea, it's kind of dumb, but the fact that they're willing to sell so hard into it, guys like Mick Foley, we were talking about Hogan versus Foley earlier. Foley did it with 3 different characters, sold into that. And if you think about how ridiculous really the Mankind character was, and the fact that he got that over, that's what we're talking about. Dude Love. Mr. Iguana.
Well, it looks like I've got to, do my research on this guy and really look into him.
In before Daniel's favorite wrestler in 2 weeks is Mr. Iguana. He's going to be such an iguana mark. He's going to have an iguana like on his shoulder in the pod. Every week, every episode. It's
going to be a Kermit.
Every episode is Dan and his bargain basement generic iguana.
Yeah.
Brits don't really know what iguana is.
So before we get into Money in the Bank results, as always, guys, make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG to get 5% off all your orders. Brian, do you think we should announce the thing?
I think the time has come, Daddy.
Time has come, Daddy. Yeah, listen. All right, so Dueling Guard's one of the affiliates we're working with. I'm working on a couple other companies, getting some more products on here. I really like the quality of their products. I personally have purchased some of it. You've seen some of the reviews up on YouTube. I have a couple more coming over the next couple days. Now that I can finally speak and it doesn't sound like I'm being stabbed in my throat a million times. That said, here on the Standards of Geekness podcast, we're going to be doing a giveaway for, not my copy of it, but not sure if you guys out there can see it. This is the Grand Line Treasures deck box. It's got a fancy magnetic, removable, for your gaming nerd needs out there. If you play Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece, Pokemon, these fit it all. They fit Commander decks. I've got the sealed one right here. It's a free $25 value. I will ship it to your house. We will be doing a giveaway here on the podcast. Our goal is to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube and 100 subscribers on Twitch and 100 subscribers on Kick. For each platform you're subscribed on, you will get a bonus entry. I'll announce a new video or another video and some new rules to go along with that. Probably over the next week. I'm gonna get together with Brian now that we live near each other and figure that out. All right.
But
Without
very excited
further
to
ado,
see all the cool stuff coming from Dueling Guard, man.
yeah, I've got some cool things going, and I'm hoping that we get some Dueling Guard stuff in Europe. You're gonna see it, you're gonna love it, you're gonna want more of it, and you can use that code SOG for 5% off to help fund the pod. It helps us to help you, so we can do cool things like this. That said, Money in the Bank. Finally, I have been dethroned. Let's go over the results, and then there is a special thing that we shall do. Is a passing of the championship to the Nugget.
It was only a matter of time, Evan. It was only a matter of time.
You're gonna fuck it up. That's just what you do.
Let's talk about
anyways, so yeah, let's go into this. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defeated John Cena and Logan Paul. Busy here in the downtown.
Yeah, a big shocker on this one, right?
R-Truth returning was the shocker. The result was pretty telegraphed. I still think that Jey Uso should have gotten the pin, especially given what happened last night on Raw.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this just felt like filler to me. And it was kind of a waste of John Cena's 20th date, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch defeated Lyra Valkyrie. I'm pretty sure we all picked this. The roll up on the trunks and forcing Lyra to put the belt on her was a good touch. I think this is going to add credibility as a hard reset to the belt.
I gotta say, I'm really, week by week, little by little, I'm liking Becky Lynch more and more as a heel. When she did her initial heel turn, I was really like, I'm not feeling it.
Forced.
She came out for that. Yeah, she came out for that first promo. I was really like, all right, like it really felt like you're painting this whole shit by numbers with the promo. By the time that she was cutting that promo last night, and the lead up to Money in the Bank and the Go Home show, I'm a lot more into the idea of Becky Lynch as a heel now. I'm liking it a lot more.
Yeah.
I think she's finding her
foot. I think it'll definitely help get Lyra back over the audience as a babyface. It'll help other potential challengers get there as well. Money in the Bank was just kind of a predictable, pay-per-view in my opinion. Fuck you if you call it a PLE. I call it a pay-per-view.
I mean, I still can't believe got every single prediction correct. I mean, that's a first.
Well, that's when you know it's a shitty show when Daniel's getting that many predictions right.
I don't think
statistical anomaly.
Wait, that was Simon Miller.
Simon Miller got the people. Yeah,
right.
I think the title should go to Simon Miller.
Hey, it's not like
let's get to the rest of the show, and then we'll talk about the title.
Do you want me to go bald? I'll go bald. I mean, if it helps, I should be Simon Miller's son.
All right. Seth Rollins defeated Andrade, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Penta, and El Grande Americano to win Money in the Bank. It was a predictable match. I did enjoy Jacob Fatu turning on Solo, and that I've been calling for it for months. That I hate you, Solo, and he fucking just beat his ass. I was just like, I popped hard. That was the highlight of that match in my opinion.
It was a highlight of that match. That was
That was the least.
What's funny to me is I remember last week. You and I both calling that moment too in that match that would happen in that match. Like we've been saying, we've been leading up to it, waiting for it to happen. We both said it was going to happen in that match. That's interesting. It's a funny thing.
Yeah, it's almost like we know what we're doing here. That said, I didn't use my bonus point here, so shame on me. Naomi defeated Julia, Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Becker, Alexa Bliss, and Rhea Ripley to win Money in the Bank. Like I've said, there were only two real contenders for this for me. It was Naomi and Stephanie Becker. Rhea Ripley was a close third, but I will say,
can't believe you've been saying this. I can't believe you're saying this.
Rhea
The
doesn't need Money in the Bank.
The idea of Rhea cashing in on Dom was gold.
That was a gold idea. But I think in terms of setting up the women's division for success, Naomi is probably the right call here. I'm pretty sure we're getting Jade Cargill versus Tiffany, probably at SummerSlam would be my guess. Wouldn't surprise me if Jade Cargill wins Queen of the Ring.
Was it called Evolution 2, wasn't it?
We could get them for Evolution 2. Maybe that's the start of it. I think Naomi's going to cash in on Jade Cargill, and we'll get a serious feud out of the two of them with the title at the top level.
Maybe throw Bianca in there, make a triple threat eventually.
There's a lot of ways you can go about that.
I think it'd be very interesting if she was to like somehow be able to cash in on Bianca. I think
that would definitely be have Jade beat Tiffany at Evolution 2 for the title, and then have Bianca versus Jade at SummerSlam with Naomi cashing in on Bianca after she wins. That would be a layer on layer on layer story.
Seth Rollins are into the match like a triple threat.
Yeah, that way she still gets the dub. And then Dominic Mysterio defeated Octagon Jr. Mr. Iguana, like we talked about, was so fucking over. Like, this was a good match. Dom's over. Roxanne Perez, the whole Judgment Day thing, we're definitely going to see some more layers as things go along. In my opinion, I think this is just a B minus show. It wasn't Triple H's best stuff. It was kind of predictable and bordering on cartoonish in some spots.
I do wish the show was I wish there was at least one more match. I didn't like the Dominic Mysterio match, kind of getting shoehorned in at the end,
last minute. Yeah, like we didn't even make predictions on that, and because it was literally
we did to each other. We messaged each other.
Yeah,
but it was all the same thing. It was like, oh well, Dom's gonna go over. Unknown guy versus Dom for the Intercontinental title. Like, you might as well have just grabbed local jobber from for your house show.
Local enhancement nugget coming your way.
I will say he is getting quite annoying, when they keep announcing matches like maybe a couple of days or maybe a day before.
I don't mind if it's on a regularly viewable program. This happened live on the AAA show. Had I not been watching, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, and it's just it's kind of sloppy. I understand you probably need to extend the pay-per-view time, maybe, I don't know, but
that said, congratulations, Daniel. I'm going to try to hand you this. Why can't you? Here, let me
reach it further off screen.
Oh god, I can't wait.
Let me try the left side. Let me try the left side.
Try the other way.
Brian, let me try to give it to you. Let me try to give it to you. That worked.
How?
What's really funny here? What's really funny here is you honestly thought for a hot second that I was going to let you get your grubby little hands on this championship belt. But the truth of the matter, Daniel, is there is a guy who predicted the R-Truth return. There is a guy who predicted Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu's moment in there. There is a guy who does deserve the predictions championship, and it's not you. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Daniel. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Daniel Roberts. If you want a shot at my predictions championship, if you really want to come for the champ, then show that you have the knowledge. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you, Daniel Roberts, to a battle of intellect, to a battle of wits, to a wrestling trivia contest. And if you can beat me in wrestling trivia contest, Daniel, then I guess then I will be forced to hand over this title. But if you can't, Daniel, then you are going to be forced to do what you should have done a long time ago and raise my hand.
Never in a million years. It's not going to happen.
Oh,
My
it's
brain-
going to happen. It's going to
My brain
happen,
is too
Daniel.
much
And
Western knowledge.
not only is it going to happen, I'm going to go out into the wide wrestling world and I'm going to find us a host for this little competition. Someone amongst my various Rolodex of friends list. I am going to find a big name. I'm going to bring them right here on the pod, and they are going to help me put you into the dirt, Daniel Roberts.
Bring anyone, bring everyone. I don't care. I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
So you accept the challenge? So you're
I
accepting
accept
it?
I
All
accept
right.
the challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, you heard it here first. Brian Mercer versus Daniel the McGangbanging Nugget, who will take on anyone and everyone, load upon load upon load upon load, in a trivia challenge. God, Daniel, you are.
I can finally shut you up once and for all, Brian. And it's coming.
Never going to happen. It's never going to happen, Daniel.
It will be coming.
I'm a member of the Bradford Exchange. We collect gold. I've got the gold. I've got the jacket. I'm pretty in pink, baby. And pinky's up. We are right here with it, baby.
Well, I'm representing the UK, and, well, us Brits, we always know how to win a fight. We always know how to beat the odds against us.
Tell me how that worked out for you in Yorktown.
And to be neutral.
Do you remember the last time the
I'm not
Knicks
neutral.
fought the United States? I don't think you do.
I'm a fact-based play-by-play. I call it play-by-play, and the facts say that you guys got your asses kicked in
Hey.
that war.
We,
Anyways, moving along. WWE Raw. Raw was much better than SmackDown.
oh, yeah.
The
Raw was great.
The show opened hot with Cena and Punk. We're getting them at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. To me, it's really interesting giving Punk's past criticisms to Miz and others on the roster regarding going to Saudi Arabia's. Cena's mic work here was just gold. The back and forth, like, you can tell these guys have chemistry. It'll be interesting to see how the match plays out. I don't think Punk's going to beat him, but they've thrown us a sword.
I guess that kind of
Okay.
decides like who is going to be Cena's final opponent, because it's clearly not going to be Punk now. It's not going to be Cody. Who could
It might be Cody. Because
It
if they
might
go
be
full circle at Saturday Night Main Event in Boston, it could be Cody.
But then obviously they
My
are
gut
setting
tells
up
me
that
it's
SummerSlam.
probably either Cody or Roman. That's my gut.
I don't know. Like, I think there's an argument to be made potentially for killings, depending on how this all plays out. We still have, the Cena's last match is still months off, and there could be some switches made along the line. That being said, I think, we all kind of agree that tag match felt like kind of a waste.
Mhm.
And I don't know. CM Punk wasn't doing anything that night. I
Money
really
in the
would have
Bank, like,
preferred. Yeah, with the whole way that Cena's talking about leaving with the title, the imagery of Cena just like putting Punk through a table. I would have loved the image of, in the lead up, Cena
Hey, Phil, I hope you're comfortable.
puts Punk through a table, then heads over to the barrier, throws one leg over as he's going to leave, and then turns and blows a kiss, holding the championship. An exact, mirror image of what happened at Money in the Bank. And, you had that whole saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's a picture
Exactly.
that's worth 1,000.
But then who would be Vince in this situation? I guess Triple H. I mean,
That's the closest analogy.
The WWE. I mean, the whole idea here is we as the fans should want Cena to lose the title so he doesn't take it away.
Yeah.
Well, I think about it. Like, what if he does, keep the title? I mean, it does mean a fresh start, a new legacy.
Yeah, but the problem is you're erasing 60 plus years of legacy behind that title.
That's true.
Like,
It's true.
at the end of the day, I don't think he's riding off into the sunset with the belt. I think somebody will beat him.
I just hope they beat him as a heel. Like I want Cena to retire as a heel. There keep being all these little like hints to, oh, you're not really doing this. There's some pretty heavy-handed stuff laid in that CM Punk promo last night. That was I don't like the idea that you're trying either really be a heel or really don't be a heel.
Yeah, don't half-ass it.
I wonder
gotta go balls deep.
I wonder if Seth's gonna, potentially take the title off Cena now.
It doesn't serve a purpose to like have him do it. Now, if you're gonna do it, I would have him hold it until Saturday Night Main Event. Have Roman or Cody be the one to beat Cena, and then have Seth cash in. And I think if your plan is to have Roman versus Seth at Mania, have Seth cash in on Roman after Roman beats Cena.
Ooh.
Then you have an instant story that will set up an eventual Roman Reigns babyface Royal Rumble win as the tribal chief.
Well,
and then he'll main event
this time. So
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
With the way the far off puzzle pieces are, I think what we have to acknowledge is that at some point the story beats the WWE is planning are we're gonna have Seth versus Roman for the title.
Yeah.
We're going to have Seth's group, Seth's bloodline that is being compared so heavily and so well to the blood. I mean, that was the best part to me of that promo with Solo, where he just pointed out, you got your right hand man, your own little Jey Uso. You've got your wise man. You've got your enforcer. You've got all the things exactly set up just like Roman. Like I can even see it. And
he's missing a Sammy and a Jimmy. So
we haven't gotten to that stage of this yet. That was at a point when the bloodline got so over his heels they became baby faces. The point being here is, so the analogy is Roman's redemption needs Seth's downfall. Seth getting further and further and further away from who he was and becoming more and more like Roman. Mm-hmm. And Roman, it's like a cycle. Like they're chasing after each other. Eventually they will catch up. So there's a lot of story beats there. It's just whether or not we're paying attention to the clues they're laying down. That said, you could have Seth versus Cody. Seth has never beaten Cody. You could end up with a triple threat match where you've got Roman, Cody, and Seth at Mania. That could work.
That could be really interesting.
Well, unless you have another Rock situation where he says, "Oh, I want to face Roman at WrestleMania," and
then we can we just until I see it happen, I'm done booking The Rock in anything, and I don't want to talk about him unless he's actually doing something. Because I have Rock fucking fatigue between all the bullshit, all the I told them to do that, the memes and shit. Like, yeah, they're funny. I have Rock fatigue. Like, I'm over him at this point.
Well, I think he's back in Hollywood, isn't he? Right now, I think. So
who knows? Who knows, Daniel? I could care less. So Queen of the Ring, Roxanne beating Rhea, Kairi Sane, and Liv Morgan. This was a really good match.
Love
that spot at the end where Kairi does the elbow drop, goes to the pin on Liv. Roxanne then does the roll through roll up and gets the pin on Kairi. It was just nuts. There's so many threads there, and then you got Rhea and Raquel's random fight, and my only problem with or quarrel with this is once Raquel pulled Rhea out to the outside, their punches were very cartoonish.
Yeah. Those punches looked horrible. But
Yeah, both of them had shitty punches.
everything other than that throughout the whole match looked so spectacular. There was a spot where it picked up Kyrie, like it was Liv and Perez, and they picked up Kyrie, and Rhea's out on the outside, and they like threw her into a crossbody on Rhea, and it was so cool to me because these are girls who are shorter in stature. And you don't think of them normally doing anything in a gorilla press kind of style, but together using that combined power and effort, they went into almost a tag team move, and I was just like, damn, that was really crisp. That was clean looking. Like that was really nice. Everything throughout this match was intense, and I really liked the way that they let Perez go over.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job of how they're booking her, with her coming up. I'm interested to see where they go with this whole.
How it plays with the Judgment Day angle.
Yeah, I'm still kind of over the whole Judgment Day as a whole. I just kind of think it's ran its course. It's gone through so many iterations that, like, I also think we have an oversaturation of factions at the moment.
Do you think it'll end in like whole like huge separations? So maybe like Liv and Roxanne, well not Roxanne, Raquel go off together, and then Dom goes on his own, Finn goes on his own, and maybe with JD, and then that's it.
I mean, I'm fine with that. My problem here is it's just an oversaturation and it's done to death, and like they don't have an identity. They were jobbers for so long after Damian Priest and Rhea left that like they were in the tag division doing nothing. Like I said last week, Finn has won 2 singles matches in the last 2 years. He's still a threat. They're still booking him like a threat, but like the follow through for credibility is just not there.
I mean, if I was Finn, I would try and kind of sort of a deal with TNA for them to make a few appearances.
I legitimately don't understand why Finn wasn't in the Money in the Bank match. I don't understand why you had Andrade there over Finn. Like, Finn at least would have been a semi-credible threat in the match just because of the way that he's been booked. And he has that history in being a champion with the Universal title. Like I really hate the fact that they've never done anything with that.
Yeah.
Closest he got was bringing the demon back to fight Roman, and then that weird fucking ending we got at Bad Blood.
God stepped in, man.
A demon versus God. He's got such.
I would have said like send him back down to NXT, but then I don't think NXT needs him now.
NXT's so stacked right now.
Exactly.
I think the problem is that Finn needs to go after the IC title or the US title. Honestly, I would send him to SmackDown and have him feud with Fatu for the US title.
Honestly, if I was WWE, I would try and make a trade. You know, they get Joe Hendry, they get Finn. Finn goes over there for maybe like a year.
Why would they make a trade? That doesn't make sense.
I mean, I feel like
this isn't the sports leagues where player A gets traded for player B and
honestly, yes, I know, but I feel like if you want to bring in Joe Hendry a lot more, you can always give them Finn in return because that's a name that can really.
Joe is probably going to WWE after his contract ends with TNA this year. Like Absolutely. It would be stupid of them not to try to sign him. He's so fucking old.
Although, to be fair, apparently Tony Khan has been in contact with Joe Henry and wants to, offer him a huge deal and have him.
I'll believe that when I see it. Bayley returned during Becky and Lyra's confrontation. Bayley versus Becky. This could set up some real credibility behind the women's IC title.
And Bayley is caked up like yum yum.
Wow. Just
Daniel, I know I make jokes, and but I do it in a tasteful way. I don't come out and do it in a degrading way. Um, Jesus fucking Christ! Holy shit! God,
Hold on.
it's worse than having
Hold,
it's
wait,
worse than
hold
having
on. But
it's
hold on.
it's
I
worse
got
than
I got
having Mike James.
I gotta say it. I gotta say it. Like
Too fucking
yeah, but
ah,
he has a point.
he has a point, but that's not.
Like I don't want to give him credit for having a point.
I
But-
mean, my initial thoughts don't stay in here; they come out here. Intrusive thoughts, they don't exist. If I got that on my mind, it's coming out. And she was wham, like
Daniel,
Jesus.
I'm gonna mute you. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, like, I know we make jokes, and it's there's a difference between doing tasteful innuendo and gooner bullshit, gooner neckbeard bullshit. Like, holy fuck, Daniel. Just every week you surprise me with more and more stupid shit, and I've met some dumb motherfuckers in my life, but god damn. I'm gonna put him in timeout for a while. Anyways,
Daniel, I just want you to, while you're sitting in timeout, I just want you to see that gleam on the belt. It's really nice. Bailey came back in a surprise return to attack Becky Lynch that led to, see, what I really like about how they're setting this up is the different perspectives are being laid out really well, in that, you know, I can really see from Becky Lynch's point of view how Becky doesn't see herself as the bad guy in this. Like she's laid that mindset out very well. And then when you have these little moments, like essentially Bailey did get her from behind, you know, like that's not very baby face of you. You know, it was Lyra on the
to be
outside
fair,
causing.
Becky got her from behind too. And I know I can see Danny in the chat room. He's probably gooning over the fact of people taking people from behind because, you know, that's what he does. But I still can't get over that. Like, holy shit.
You know, it was a good segment. It was a really well done segment, and I got to give WWE credit in them making the women's intercontinental title feel meaningful. You know, it definitely feels more important now than it felt 3 months ago.
Yeah, it definitely does. We touched on it briefly earlier, the R-Truth promo segment. I don't think we really need to go too much more in depth on that. I thought it was the highlight of the show, which is
10 out
saying
of
a
10.
lot given that the Punk and Cena segment.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and give R-Truth a gold star for that promo.
I'm going to give everyone in WWE a gold star. I'm going to give Bailey two gold stars for having to suffer Daniel. I apologize again to the audience. Holy shit. Speaking of lowlights of the show, Nikki Bella returned to hype up Evolution 2. We get a segment with her and Liv Morgan, and I think we're getting either a singles match or a tag match. Not sure which.
So, John Cena and Nikki Bella are both backstage at the same Raw show. And now you're going to let Dan come on to make an inappropriate comment about that? Yeah, that's what I thought. Look, I'm not gonna say that like I really hated the segment with Nikki returning or anything, but I don't feel a great need for her return. I think it would have came across more palatable if she just came out and was like saying hi or even just seen in the audience. And she was seen in the audience and the camera was taking a minute on her because she's a Hall of Famer, and then you had Liv come out. I think that would have sold
That would have
that
been a
all to
little
me a
more
lot more.
easy
Like have
to
Liv pull
swallow.
her over the barricade and
Yeah,
go
or
at
like
her.
Nikki
And
slap her or
then,
some,
at that point, then you're just like, well, now Nikki needs to come back and beat her ass. Like, and you feel that need. And I felt like Liv was almost justified in coming out and being
Mhm.
like, you decided to name everybody else except me. You're trying to embarrass me. Fuck you. Like Liv felt more justified in that. And I think that's something that's really interesting about the women's storylines, because same thing with Becky Lynch. It's the justification
Yeah, it's
that
more
she put.
believable. All right, I'm willing to give Daniel a chance to come on and apologize. Brian, are you?
As long as he doesn't say something stupid like he's gonna bake Bailey a birthday cake.
Yes. We're gonna keep it correct, aren't we, Daniel?
Yes. I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I do
Doing the
not
Logan
expect to be
Paul.
forgiven. I am simply here to apologize.
Literally doing the Logan Paul. Holy shit. God, you are the Logan Paul of Ethan. It's not a compliment. Anyways, Sami Zayn winning the King of the Ring qualifier, beating Penta, Dom, Mysterio, and Braun Breaker. I'm down with it. I think given the main event, King Zayn has a nice ring to it. Having Sami challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship against this man, Gunther, in a surprise. And we talked about how we would like to see more world title matches and world title changes happen on Raw and SmackDown and stuff. They delivered. I was shocked they pulled the trigger. I thought Jay would at least get until SummerSlam. But via ref stoppage, Jey Uso passed out when he was choked out. Kind of a throwback, opposite end of how their WrestleMania match went.
Can I hold on? I gotta say this about this match in the this moment in the match. I don't know if it bothered you guys watching it. So Gunther has Jay like locked in the sleeper, and they're on the ground, and Jay's arm goes limp and it hits the ground, and the referee immediately called for the bell. What happened to the dropping the arm 3 times?
I've noticed only AEW does that anymore. I don't know if the refs are being trained differently now, but TNA, WWE, and even some of the New Japan ones aren't. They'll as soon as you go limp, they call it.
No,
And I'm
see that
like,
that bugs me because
it's
I love
a
that
suspense tool.
spot. I
It's a
love that
suspense
spot. The
tool.
1, 2.
Yeah.
I love that spot.
I assume it's still like a thing on the indies where people still do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It should be a thing in WWE.
There are times that I've talked to referees. I'm like, we're gonna do this spot. I want you to make sure you do this spot in the match because, like, that is a big fan come alive spot. That's a spot you use to build back up the audience. It might be a little different for WWE and AEW in doing arena shows and the size of those audience and how they connect in the storytelling and matches. That's a little hard to say, but personally, yeah, like that's still a part of being a ref, as far as I'm concerned, is dropping the hand 3 times.
Yeah, I think the Gunther versus Sammy storyline, it's a real callback to their WrestleMania feud 2 years ago. I would have liked to see Jay got into SummerSlam. I So I started looking at the whole reign today, at and just like reading about it and like remembering and watching things. I don't think Jay ever got the benefit of the doubt of everybody believing in him until Mania. But I think after Mania, Triple H and WWE's creative team did him a disservice. I don't think he was booked strong at any point in his title reign. I think that they could have done a tremendous job in building him correctly. They spent 5 years building him as the right hand man and building him up to be a main event level player. And then it just feels like a squandered opportunity, like to take the belt off of him. And I mean, maybe he recaptures it at some point,
Well,
but like
it,
the
I
fans
think
also were upset too.
that's why Logan Paul was okay. Like we were okay with Jey Uso versus Logan Paul because Logan Paul was a good heel that we can believe that Jey Uso can beat, and like it was his first like defense. He didn't even get to fucking have that. He didn't really get to have that first feud with a successful defense before losing
Cena
it to Gunther.
interfered. Yeah. Cena interfered at that pay-per-view. Then we got the tag match, and then he lost it the following Monday. And like, yeah, I know he defended it a couple times on Raw, but like,
Do you think it's because of his whips? That's why he took the belt.
I think that was a nice storyline element that they threw in, and hopefully they can call it back at some point. But there was, Raw as an overall, I thought was a really good show. The main event segment, I didn't care for as much because I thought there was a lot of little missed opportunities. I know that I called for Seth to cash in his briefcase on Raw, and that didn't happen. And we can agree or disagree about whether or not he should have cashed in or not. But one thing I think we can all agree on is if he's not going to cash in, why weren't Heyman and Rollins standing up at the top of the entranceway at the end of Raw watching what's going on?
I think
The disconnect between last week and Seth's interest in the world title, and now it seemingly has zero interest in the world title, and it's only the WWE title. Like that was a big disconnect in storyline telling for me.
yeah,
I really felt
absolutely.
like it would have, whether he cashes in, you can cash in for whichever one at the end of the day, but he should still give a fuck about both,
Mm-hmm.
especially when both are on the show that night.
Absolutely, and it just
I think personally, like with Jay, it was just. I think it was too soon to pull trigger. I knew he was doing well in the merch sales. I understand you had kind of got reward that, but it just. I don't think anyone really got behind it until that like last 2 weeks headed into WrestleMania, and then even then, like once he won the title, like nobody really believed in the reign. Like it was kind of felt similar to
well, it was
Kofi
shitty
Kingston
book.
in a way. Like it felt like his kind of win, whereas like once he's won the title, I mean they don't really.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I can understand that feeling. I think
That seems
my
to be an
issue comes down
epidemic
to
with Triple H and babyface booking.
I don't think he can book a quality babyface outside of Cody Rhodes. Like if we're being honest,
Well, and even Cody's run, like everybody was saying
it was
how they felt like it was Cody's run was lackluster. The thing is he can build the babyface into chasing after the heel's title. What he's missing is that there needs to be a secondary heel ready to challenge the babyface as soon as they become champion.
yeah, he's
And
not.
I think we also need to kind of talk about Gunther as well, like the fact that like obviously he lost the title, feud with Pat McAfee, and now he's gone straight back into the title picture and has won the title. It's not what you thought would be for him after he lost the title.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just been inconsistent booking that has been a trademark of Triple H's. the entire time he's been in charge, he's just not consistent with his follow through and execution. And like,
Yeah.
he's great at planning little like, sneak peeks and little things, Easter eggs that people can pick up on. He's just not very good at executing on them. And
Which
like, I don't think Jay should be faulted for his title run. I think he did the best he could with what he was given. I
Yeah.
don't think Gunther should be blamed for Jay's losing
No.
either. I think ultimately the fault lies with WWE's creative team and the lack of actual consistent booking for
Yeah.
their B-level championship. Because it was
Let me
always treated as an afterthought.
let me ask you guys this, because I was thinking about this earlier today. Do you feel like Gunther's a heel?
I think he's a tweener right now, and
Yeah.
it's really just, it's
But
like,
then, like, he acts more heelish, which is really weird. Like, he has a few babyface moments, but they're not enough to call him an actual babyface.
Because I take him as a lot. He's just a guy. He's just a really
yeah.
really good wrestler. But I don't
He's
feel
just
he
a
has
wrestling guy. That's
personality.
literally he is. That's all he's gonna get. Is he's good at wrestling.
He's the ring general. He's not a wrestling god.
Oh,
That would be a good one.
deep cut.
That was a deep cut. For those that know, you know. All right, guys. Well, as always, make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG. All your orders get 5% off. It'll help out the pod. It'll help get you some cool swag. We'll have more information out on the giveaway this week. I've had a lot of fun tonight, despite Daniel getting to 18 Nugget owned counter.
Can we get to 20 in these last few seconds?
Let's not.
Biscuit munching motherfucker. Ding.
It has been a fun night. It's been a good night, and Daniel, I look forward to our upcoming trivia contest. I also look forward to next week when we get back together. We're going to be talking about some of the biggest missed opportunities in WWE. I know all of us have some in mind. It's going to be a wild and fun night. I look forward to it.
I do too. All right, guys.
That will soon belong to me.
Go fuck yourself, Daniel. Had to get that 20th in. Have a good night, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Champion!